And this brings us on to the Nerd News Network. Corey, if
hmm
you got our big fanfare intro ready yet? I'm sure it's playing
Um,
right now.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
a relatively quiet week, but
mm
not
mm
silent.
Yeah, there's little bits here and there.
Little teasings.
Yeah.
Um, One of the big things that seemed to come and then disappear as fast as it came was that there is a rumor, and it is a rumor, even though some people reported it as fact,
As they
that
do.
Deadpool is joining the MCU via the TVA.
Yeah, see, I must have missed this, so that explains why it disappeared.
Yeah, so by the looks of it, the Miss Minutes account on Twitter, the official one,
Okay.
Miss Minutes is the super creepy character from Loki, for
Yeah.
those who are confused,
Little AI character.
um, appeared to tweet Ryan Reynolds going, "Hi, welcome." So like if you Google Miss Minutes Deadpool right now, you're going to get 4 articles pop up instantly from 2 days ago about how Deadpool is joining the MCU via the TVA.
Okay.
Um, I think that would be a very interesting way for them to do it without causing too much trouble. Um, I also think with Marvel being the way it is and Deadpool being the way it is, this could just be Ryan Reynolds and co having fun.
Yeah, this feels much more to me like a social media manager having a bit of fun. Being
Yeah.
like, oh, we're known as like the character that it manages all the timelines and whatnot. This will be fun. We know Deadpool's coming to the MCU now. Uh, let's just do a fun little tweet and
Free
get people,
impressions, isn't
yeah,
it?
just get people talking.
Hit my monthly impression quota in one day. Pog.
Because let's be honest, every time like the Deadpool films, like one and two, like the promotional stuff, is all Ryan Reynolds kind of being smart and having fun about it. No, he knows what gets the internet talking. This is very easy. Like it's been a little while now since we got that like tease about Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds sat on a couch and he's saying, "Do you want to come back?" So it's been a while since that.
And
So
in today's climate as well, with how rabid nerds are on the internet,
mhm.
a tweet like that, they're going to eat out, they're going to
Oh
dissect
yeah,
every letter of it.
and they know
So we
that.
know. Yeah.
It's it's 100%. To me, that 100% is just a marketing thing, just to get people talking about it again. Like, because they're gonna just want to keep generating like discussion about the film till there's a
Yeah.
trailer,
Uh huh.
and I think they should give us a trailer for Christmas. Just really putting that out there. Just Kevin, I know you listen, Kevin. Hope you're having a
Kevin's a
good
big
look.
fan.
Hope you're having a good lunch. Hope it's you're
Yeah.
enjoying that lunch. But yeah, we could have the Deadpool trailer. That'd be real cool.
I don't know. He's probably a bit grumpy that I outed his onboarding process of just stealing BBC actors. We also got more news from James Gunn.
Yes, we did.
Now I don't know how accredited this is, or if this is kind of like word of mouth, the industry vibe over what he's thinking.
Oh, okay. No, I saw this as an article. It was from someone asked him a question.
Oh, okay, so did you see an actual article with this kind of quote then?
Yeah, so
Okay, well that's good.
I've added a bit on my notes just because it was what I remembered. I think someone asked him along the lines of like, now that you're over at DC, like, are you using what you learn on the MCU? And he turned around and said he's not actually basing. He's looking more at basing it around what Star Wars have done than the MCU, and said by bringing in video games and animated movies and live action and all that into one expansive universe,
Got ya.
which is where that whole quote I think has come from.
But he also made it very clear that he's not against solo projects.
No, yeah, he did also I think mention that there'd still be
Yeah.
some.
Yeah. So he's going, oh, we want to get everything in together. We want our games and we want everything you to be able to pick it up and go, oh, that's from there, that's from there, that's from there. But he's not against the idea of if there is a desire for it, a need for it, a different take on a character in its own solo project, which I think is the right way to approach it.
Yeah, and I think he's also like if you look at Star Wars, everything, pretty much everything. Games, the animated like Clone Wars series, the animated films, the live action shows and live action. It's all in the same world and it's all canon to the most degree. So I think that's where he wants to kind of like. It also is his plan. Obviously, is like he doesn't want to be limiting this like DCEU that we keep talking about. He obviously has plans that he wants it to spread into animated stuff, but still be canon to the world he's building and games and like spread further than just a set of films that are all connected,
100%.
which I'm all for.
I completely agree. And with how good DC historically have been with animated films, it's a revenue they definitely need to look at. But what they need to do is make it easier for the rest of the world to access these animated films. Outside of America, it's a bastard. It's one of them few times where people don't illegally stream the content just because they're cheap. It's because it's the only way to find it.
Yeah, because what's Warner Brothers stuff? Is it streamed on anything?
The animated stuff is streamed on something. DC animated movies.
Like HBO or something, or Hulu, or
Streaming. Where to watch all the DC animated movies online? Yeah. Yeah, HBO Max. Or you can rent them through some places.
But yeah, it's
like
HBO
they're
Max, which
very
is just
expensive.
So how long before we get DC minus? Because we got Disney Plus. Or DC Plus. Imagine they bring out DC Plus.
I imagine they're just going to work on trying to roll HBO Max out worldwide.
Is HBO owned by Warner Bros. Then?
I think it might be the other way around. Or it might be a partnership.
Owner. No, I think HBO is under Warner Brothers Discovery.
Okay, so in April 22, Warner Media and Discovery merged to form Warner Bros. Discovery. HBO Max is one of the combined company's two flagship streaming services, the other being Discovery Plus. So I do think HBO came under Warner Bros. Or Warner Media, rather.
Okay. So yeah, it seems like they're just going to expand then.
I would imagine so. But right now, for a lot of the world, it's basically impossible to see these animated movies. And these animated movies are some of the best superhero content out there. But if someone was really desperate, I'm sure they could find a YouTube channel somewhere that has the entire films cut up into like 40-second segments that are in a playlist that autoplays with basically no adverts. So it's like almost watching the film in one go anyway. I'm sure if someone looked really hard, something like that's probably out there.
Yeah, probably is.
Not that I'd know, because I would never do anything.
Yeah, YouTube, don't worry, we're just saying that it doesn't exist. YouTube, don't go looking for that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's not there at all, YouTube. No one would be able to get around your very cool tools.
Susan, don't worry, it's fine.
Susan, relax. It's fine. There was also Quentin Tarantino joins the list of revered and respected directors that have to have an issue with Marvel.
I kind
of get his comment.
Already said stuff in the past, though.
Yeah, I do kind of get his comment. So basically, what he said is the Marvelization of Hollywood, i.e., these big franchises. So there's like 12 franchise films a year, and anything else kind of gets forgotten about. Has killed off movie stars like Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and stuff. Like people like that don't exist anymore. The characters are now the superstars.
I get you.
And his point was, no one's going to see Anthony Mackie. They're going to see Captain America.
Got you.
I do think there is some validity to his point.
Yeah.
However, Tom Holland is a fucking movie star.
Yeah.
Yes, when he's in a Spider-Man film, people are going to see Spider-Man, but people didn't go to see Uncharted to see Nathan Drake. They went to see Tom Holland.
Yeah. Do you know what I think it actually is? Because I agree. I think his point has some validity to it. I think what he's more in a way trying to make a point on is like the likes of like Tom Holland hasn't really changed them being a movie star because they are such a big name and they want to go off and do other films. But because of how many like Marvel films there are, and if an actor gets into that universe, let's be real, they're making plenty of money just off Marvel.
Yeah, 100%.
They're not necessarily doing like they can just do Marvel films and be great. And because of that, they're not expanding themselves into other films, so then they just become known as that character. And I think that's where he's like, yeah, okay, in that case, yeah. Because of how successful superhero films are now, actors don't need to do anything else. So then
100%.
it kills them being movie stars at that level.
I think a better point from him would have been that it's made it difficult to be a out and out movie star. I think there are going to be less Leonardo DiCaprio's,
Mm,
Brad Pitt's, George Clooney's, etc.
yeah,
Um, but I think when there is one, they're going to be
bigger.
even bigger than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
traditional movie star. I think it's going to create more extremes.
Agreed.
Um, but I'm something irks me about directors who are, I guess, acclaimed is the word, acclaimed
Mm,
directors, sitting there and bitching and moaning about the stuff that we, the consumer, are choosing to consume, while they're still, let's be honest, talking about it to get a bit of attention on whatever they want attention on.
yeah. No, I get what you mean.
Like,
It's
who was it the other month that complained their film didn't do well because of Marvel?
I
Oh,
don't
it wasn't
know.
the other month. It was like 6 months ago. It was another acclaimed director. I forget who released a film that absolutely tanked, and he was like, "Oh, it's all Marvel and Disney's fault for just these films that everyone's just mindlessly consuming." And it's turned the cinema, which yes, it's art, but a lot of people are able to switch off and just enjoy,
Mm.
into this thing where you're getting the snobbery that you got in other forms of art, which is why people started watching movies.
It's what it is. Because I think the reason Quentin Tarantino has been in pulled up again, because I'm sure he said stuff in the past, is because he's recently been on a podcast, which is where a lot of this has all been coming from.
What kind of dickhead would go on a podcast?
So, like, I think he kind of probably got baited into this question.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
someone probably, the person probably asked him, like, oh, you've previously said, like, you're not a fan of, like, Marvel films. Do you still feel that way? And he's probably gone, yeah, I think it's killing the movie stars, blah, blah, blah. I think like, directors and like you say, accredited directors, it's this kind of thing where they're seeing they see the Marvel system as Disney trying to print money. Like, they see it as like a big business, and it's whereas what they as directors are like, oh, we're in it for like the one of one films which have like a passion put into the story and passion put into how it's like crafted and created. And Marvel's like I think he
Film
sees,
factory.
yeah, because of how many they're pumping out, and doesn't kind of, they don't step back and kind of appreciate it for the bigger picture of Marvel of why people enjoy it, because it's this big
I
integrated
think
world.
I
It's
think the MCU while it's done many good things, has harmed the perception of superhero culture to the extent that it's viewed as this big industry now. Let's remember for a long time, if you were above the age of 11 and still like superheroes, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And
That's
you and you would be reminded of that.
that's the thing. I think these accredited directors, like their work's amazing and nothing against them, but they are often older directors, probably still very much have the mindset of why would any adult want to go watch a superhero film, and struggle to see past like how people don't like the craft that they're making over like why they go watch a superhero film, not realizing that had Peter Jackson had the reins to the Lord of the Rings and turned it into what the MCU is or something, and like done all of the Lord of the Rings, like had the full reins of the Tolkien estate, like we would have had something like the MCU years ago. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's this kind of weird disconnect of still stuck, very much dedicated to the craft of filmmaking, whereas MCU is like very much bigger picture. We're crafting this larger story for everyone to just enjoy, and I think
Yeah.
that's where like people like Quentin Tarantino and stuff have a bit of a gripe against it for.
Yeah, 100%. And don't get me wrong, like I'd argue Tim Burton probably as a director sits more with your acclaimed directors.
Hmm. Yeah.
And his Batman films are some of my favorites. So there's definitely room for there to be overlap between these
Mm.
highly acclaimed directors and the comic book world. But I think directors getting so, I'm going to say as it is, butthurt over the success of superhero films is actually robbing us of the ability to potentially get, like, tell me with Quentin Tarantino style, a Punisher film couldn't be really fucking good.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, like you could have like if some of these acclaimed directors that have very set style and stuff like if those crossed into superhero, you get some great films.
I would love to see James Gunn at DC find a character that suits a director's style and just go, I want you to do
Mm,
you, but here's the character.
yeah, I think
That'd be a really cool way to do like a DC Black Label.
I think essentially what will happen is you're gonna get the younger directors that grew up and looked up to like the likes of Quentin Tarantino and studied their styles and maybe crafted their own style of filmmaking from pulling from all these things. They'll be the ones that are the new accredited directors with a set style that people recognize, just like they recognize Quentin Tarantino's style. But they'll be more than happy to work on superhero films, and that's where it'll like the crossover just will become more natural, and I guess there'll be more creativity then across the films.
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
Um, and finally, in the Nerd News Network,
hmm
the Flash film, the mystical, rumored, long-awaited Flash film.
the what film? I haven't heard anything about this film. Is this a new
um,
film coming out?
you'd think so. It's had another test screening, apparently with good results, largely unchanged from the last one, still with VFX and audio tuning to be done.
At this
But it
point, it's
does
like,
also have a new logo.
did they need to release the film? Have not enough people seen it through test screening now that like kind of everyone's seen
I
it?
don't know how more of the film hasn't leaked, to be honest.
How have we not got to see? Like, come on,
Yeah, where's our invite?
yeah. Why have we not seen a
To be
test
fair,
screening?
are we surprised that we've not been invited to this with how much we've ripped on DC?
Yeah, but then that's why you invite us, because it's like these are these are the people we want to convert.
True.
I bet there's
As
people out there that are going to hear that this Flash film's coming out and they'll go, "Oh, is this a follow on to the one that came out a few years back?" Not knowing that that never
yeah,
happened.
not realizing it never came out. Um, but I'll tell you what, our our
Oh,
thoughts that were very pessimistic
mm,
that DC may have delayed the Flash film to quieten down the drama surrounding Ezra Miller.
mm.
it looks a bit more realistic now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They've got them under control and away from the public eye. The news has simmered away,
The
and
thing
now
is,
they can
like,
start reintroducing the Flash film.
the thing is, they're not gonna like. It's died down, but as much as they try to keep running from this, or like avoiding it, as soon as that film comes out, the internet's just gonna be like, "Why the fuck is Ezra Miller still in this?" Like the internet's like,
Because is the Flash not just come out really close to Aquaman though?
yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, as soon as it releases, everyone will go, "Oh shit, yeah, that's the film with Ezra Miller in it that we didn't like," and everyone will start talking about the fact that like, why was this not changed? So it's like, as much as they're trying to avoid
Oh,
it,
I was wrong anyway. Aquaman's coming out. Wait,
yeah, Aquaman got pushed back as well. Like,
yeah, no, I didn't realize that much. Apparently, it's not going to be until December next year.
yeah, because they still want it after Flash. This is the thing that we talked about so many times. Is like, what
We're not going to see
happens
James Gunn's DC
till
for 4 years.
2024? Well, 2024 if we're lucky. Then that's the thing though. We've said it before. Like, what happens if we still have no fucking clue what the plan is with the Flashpoint movie.
What happens if these two films bang?
Well, not even if they bang. It's like let's be realistic. They're pretty much fucking pointless at this point because we know James Gunn's essentially probably going to start from scratch, or the bare minimum. So realistically, whatever happens in these films, in the grand scheme of things, isn't going to matter because he's going to retcon probably half of it anyway.
Well, so I'm not going to say necessarily he's going to start from scratch. What I would say is his plan of what he's doing is going to be set in stone before the results of these films are in.
Yeah. So
if it's shit and he's decided he's sticking with them, fuck. If they're great and he's decided he's moving on from them, fuck. Like, there's 2 out of 4 outcomes realistically.
well, no, because like if they're good
in shambles.
Well, if they're good and he's moving on from them, that's fine because then everyone's a bit more excited about DC and what's to come. So it kind of benefits him. If they're shit and he's moving on, great, because everyone's like, okay, we're getting a fresh start. If they're shit and he's sticking with them, that's a problem. But it's more the case of like, if they're shit and they bomb, everyone's just going to go, what the fuck was the point in them films? Because we're starting.
Why have we waited an extra 2 years for them?
Yeah, like, and I'm still adamant, or worried, should I say, that something like Flashpoint's going to reset shit, and because Aquaman got delayed to be after Flashpoint, suddenly Aquaman's going to become pointless. Whatever happens in that film, we're just going to be like, well, this doesn't mean anything, and
Makes 0 sense.
Yeah, it's like, it's such a weird, like, we just need these films to come out and just get past them. Just rip the fucking Band-Aid off already.
Forget release the Snyder cut. Release any cut.
Just release the films.
Just give us the film.
DC, just rip the Band-Aid off, release the films, go dark for a couple of years, and then start fresh.
Imagine after Aquaman comes out, they don't talk about films for 12 months straight.
All that's announced is James Gunn's in the lab.
Yeah. Could you imagine the memes if that's a tweet? He's like, radio silence, I'm going to the lab.
just the
people
pictures
editing James Gunn's face onto Eminem writing rhymes.
Well, no, just be editing his face onto like different DC villains and their lairs and stuff. No, like, I actually think like they should just go dark on everything after these films and let shit die down, because really, like, I hope they're great, but realistically, they're probably gonna bomb, and they're gonna
There's a lot of controversy around both of the films.
Yeah, exactly.
Which doesn't help.
So that's why,
unlike Ezra Miller, whose kind of controversy has died down but will rear its head when the film's coming out, Amber Heard is trending on Twitter every other day still.
Yeah, it's like, it feels like DC's dragging their feet at trying to avoid like a painful situation, but there's just no avoiding it.
But now that James Gunn's in and got his feet under the table, maybe he'll go, okay, this is what we're doing. No more delays. It's
Yeah,
coming out on this date. You're not wasting any more of my time.
exactly. Hopefully, he's like, can we get these out the fucking way so I can get on with
Yeah.
my job? Because everything we've heard from him and what he said he's going to do has sounded great.
I
So,
trust James Gunn.
in James
This
Gunn, we
this
trust.
this man gave me the iconic Scooby Doo film I grew up with, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm gonna give the man a shot, as well as
I was
the
going to say, you're
Suicide Squad.
forgetting one of your
Yeah,
favorite films.
one of my favorite comic book films of all time. I trust this man to. I'm good. Once the first film that is fully under his control comes out, you guys are gonna realize that I'm actually more of a DC fanboy than a Marvel fanboy, and you're gonna yearn for the days where I relentlessly shit all over DC again.